Ladies and gentlemen and thems, welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It is a Tuesday. We are back at my desk setup. It's been a couple days since I last posted an album I love. Let's get back into it. Don't let the mayhem shirt fool you, because today I'm actually not going to be talking about Lady Gaga. I will eventually, but I'm actually going to be talking about one of my favorite artists and one of her more earlier works. This is FKA Twigs, Melissa. I know this isn't entirely an album, but it is a project that definitely inspired me, especially a couple years ago. I actually got this signed by her as well in January. It inspired me especially when I started making music as Where Is Roma, and especially songs like Glass and Patron, Figure 8, and In Time, like the very, trip hop, but it also mixes with kind of like experimental pop. It's a very revolutionary project in its own, and I especially love it because it had a full audiovisual accompaniment, which she actually, I think, premiered at the YouTube Music Video Awards or something like that. But this EP is incredible. It is a very transcendental experience, and I also do believe it is a concept project. What I remember reading about it a couple years back, well, when I first started properly getting into Twigs, is it's about the birth of like creativity, the birth of music, the birth of art, meta sort of concept, but albeit this project itself is incredible, the videos themselves are incredible. There's, I think, the only correct way to be able to fully indulge yourself in this EP is by watching the video to it. I don't think just listening to it is enough. You really need to be able to dive into the visual accompaniment and everything for it. I mean, the video specifically, the segment for I'm Your Doll, is almost transcendental. It's very esoteric. It's very reflective of like the feminine experience, I find, but the music itself is very experimental too. I mean, it's almost kind of mixing industrialism with Twigs's signature style of like these ethereal vocals, soft production, kind of similar to Earth Eater in a way. One of my favorite tracks actually was In Time at first, but it has grown out of me, and not in a bad way, but it's like I got into Glass and Patron way more. I mean, Glass and Patron itself is like this very unique take on ballroom, and Vogue is representative of alternative fashion that you would hear at a Rick Owens fashion show, I feel like. I mean, it's quite interesting because it's like Michelle Lamy is also featured in the video accompaniment for Figure 8. But it's an incredible project. It's audiovisual, which I love. I do love a good audiovisual concept project. And very few projects, let alone albums, actually live up to that standard. So when they do, it is a very unique experience. It's quite transcendental. Taking a look at the back cover as well, it's almost like fighting against this reliance of masculine figures within like the feminine existence. It does ripen on you a lot, it does mature a lot. I feel like there's so much that could be said actually about Twigs' projects, but it's also quite hard to put into words because they're very below the surface. I mean, probably the easiest to talk about is Eusexual because it's a very dance orientated album, but I feel like the deeper you go into her discography, like the more esoteric it becomes. And I do love that Twigs has always explored this side of alienation in her music. It is something that I feel is very prevalent, especially in Melissa. I do love talking about these projects because they're so interesting to dive into, especially with artists like Twigs. She's very unique. Obviously, there's a lot to discuss when it comes to Twigs. I will leave it at that. Thank you for watching.